This is Oluwaseun of Sean's English tutorial. This afternoon we shall be looking at silent consonants. Silent consonants. Now, what do we understand by the word silent consonant? Now, silent consonant is a consonant that is written as part of the spelling of a word without being pronounced, which means that silent consonants are usually not pronounced, they are silent. Now let's look at examples. The first example is this sound. It's a consonant sound, it's actually a vowel sound, okay, and it's pronounced, but in the word, in the no, the letter K is silent, and the letter K is a silent consonant. So no, the K is silent in no. Now in night, the letter K or the sound is also silent in the pronunciation of night. Likewise, in knife, the letter K is also silent in the pronunciation of knife. So this is what you're pronouncing in knife. The transcription will give you something like this, and night, the transcription will give you something like this, and no, the transcription will give you something like this. So the letter K is actually silent. Now let's look at another one, which is the letter G. It's pronounced good. It's another consonant sound. Now in sign, the letter G is silent. It's a silent letter. And also in feign, the letter G is silent. It's a silent letter. Likewise in rain, the letter G is silent. Now the transcription is something like rain and feign and sign. Now you can see in the transcription of these words, the letter G is actually silent. So which means the letter G is not pronounced. Now let's look further. Now let's look at the letter H. Now this is another consonant sound. It's actually glottal. Now in what? The letter H is silent. In what? Whether. The letter H is silent. Where the letter H is silent. Where you have the transcription, that's where you can see that in the transcription, the letter H is silent. And in weather, okay, the letter H is also silent in the weather. Now don't forget that the TH represents this sound. It's a diagram. Diagram is a combination of letters that's pronounced as one sound. Now in what, okay, this is also silent. H is also silent in what? Now let's look at the next one, which is the letter T. The letter T is an alveolar sound. Okay? Now let's look at the word in which. Which? The letter T is silent. In which? You have the transcription. Which? The letter T is silent. Then in castle. In castle, most people will pronounce this as castle. This is not pronounced as castle, but it's pronounced castle because the letter T is silent. Now let's look at another word. That's mortgage. Mortgage. Most people will pronounce this as mortgage. Mortgage. This is not pronounced as mortgage, but it's pronounced as mortgage. Mortgage. So the T is silent. Now let's look at the last one. Most people usually mispronounce this word. Most people pronounce this as listen. Listen. No, it's not pronounced as listen, but it's pronounced as listen. Listen. So the T is silent in the pronunciation of this word. Now let's move on. Now this is a letter B. It's a plosive. Okay, this is another letter. Now in lamb, most people will pronounce this as lamb. Lamb. The B is actually silent in the pronunciation of lamb. So it's pronounced lamb. It's pronounced lamb. This is what you are pronouncing. Now the next one is bomb. Bomb. I know most people mispronounce this as bomb. Bomb. This is not pronounced as bomb, but it's pronounced bomb. The letter B is silent. Now let's look at another one. That's climb. Climb. This is not pronounced as climb. It is not pronounced as climb. The letter B is silent. So it's a silent consonant sound. So it is pronounced as climb. It's pronounced as climb, as climb. Now let's look at another one. This is plumber, 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 plumber. In my pronunciation, you can see that the letter B is silent. The consonant B is silent. It's a silent letter. Most people pronounce this as a plumber, but this is not pronounced as plumber, but it's pronounced as a plumber. The letter B is silent. Now let's look at the transcription. Now look from the transcription here, you can see that the B is actually silent, which means it is not pronounced. Now let's look at another one. That is the letter P. Okay, this is another consonant sound. The sound is pronounced. Now let's look at examples. As in cool, cool. In cool, the letter P is silent. It is not pronounced as coop. It is not coop. It is cool. Okay, it is cool. The letter B is silent. Now let's look at another one. This is raspberry. 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 It is not pronounced as raspberry. Most people pronounce this as raspberry, but this is not pronounced as a raspberry, but it's pronounced as a raspberry. Raspberry. The letter P is a silent. It's a silent letter. Now the next one is a cupboard. 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 In cupboard, the letter P is silent. Most people would pronounce this as a cupboard. Cupboard. But the P is silent. It's a silent letter. So this is pronounced as a cupboard. 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 Okay, it's pronounced as a cupboard. Now let's look at another one. Psychology. Psychology. Most people will question this pronunciation, that why should this be pronounced as a psychology when the first letter is the P. The P is actually silent in the pronunciation of psychology. So most people mispronounce this as a P, psychology. If you pronounce that, it will make your pronunciation not understandable to a native speaker of English language. So the P is silent. So this is what is pronounced. Okay, that's in psychology. Okay, psychology. So you can see in the transcription that the P is actually silent. Now let's look at the next one. This is another one. It's a bilingual sound. Okay, and it's letter W, and it's pronounced in rapper. Rapper. The W is silent. So this is what is actually pronounced. Rapper. The pronunciation. And also in sword. Most people pronounce this as sword. As sword. Now this is not pronounced sword, but it's pronounced as a sword. Okay, the W is silent. So this is what you are pronouncing. Sword. Now in right, the W is silent. It's a silent letter there. So you have right in the transcription. Then the next one is alright. Alright. This is not pronounced as ori. No, it's alright. It's alright. Now in the pronunciation, the W is silent. So you have a transcription. It's like this. Okay? Alright. Alright. So the W is silent. Now we have quite a number of silent consonant letters. Now these are some of the letters or some of the sounds that we can take for now. Sometime later we shall be looking at some more examples of silent consonants. And that's it for today. See you some other time. Bye for now.